It's time to talk about the important issues for the natural state. And there's only one place to turn for that. Opportunity Arkansas's Nic Horton. You can find Nic's work at opportunityarkansas.org.
And good Wednesday morning to you. Welcome back to First News here on the 7th of May, 20 minutes in front of 8 o'clock. And now joining us to talk about some of the important issues going on in our state is Nic Horton, the CEO and founder of Opportunity Arkansas. Nic, welcome back to the show. How are you this week?
Hey, I'm hanging in there like a hair in a biscuit, brother. How are you?
Very good, very good. So, Nic, last week, Jay Robertson was in, and we spent some time talking about the education bill that passed right before the end of the session. But what we didn't get to was UAMS and Blue Shield Blue Cross going out and touting legislative wins around Medicaid here in our state. This is something that disappoints us, at least here at the station, I think at Opportunity Arkansas as well. And this is because they're happy about the expansions to Medicaid that were passed in this last session. And so one question I kind of had for you was, would UAMS or Blue Cross be in trouble financially if Medicaid actually got financially sound and had things like a work requirement involved in it?
Well, they would certainly say that, and I have to say thanks for having me back. Jay did such a great job last week. I was a little unsure whether or not I was going to be invited back on the show, but I'm glad to be back with you. Look, I think folks need to know, UAMS in particular, okay, they're a state-run, taxpayer-funded hospital.
That's right.
And they are consistently broke. They're consistently in the red. They are consistently laying off employees, cutting pay, cutting positions, doing all of these things. And then they constantly turn around and ask any state legislator, call your state legislator and ask them, when was the last time they heard from UAMS or someone representing UAMS? It's probably been within the last 5 to 7 business days. They are constantly at the Capitol with their hands out, asking for more and more and more and more and more of your money. Mm-hmm. And we saw this, to your point. They played it kind of cool. I didn't see a ton from them publicly during session advocating for a lot of these welfare expansions. But then the minute session's over, all of a sudden, they're doing these huge victory laps. Look what we did. Look what we got done. $50 million here, $50 million there. Look at all the money. Now, a lot of that money, to be fair, it's not all going to come directly into UAMS. Mm-hmm. But I just think the point is very concerning that you have a taxpayer-funded entity that, frankly, ask people who work there, it is not a super well-run facility, as most government entities are not. Yeah. Right? Exactly. And they constantly have their hands out. And then what do they do during legislative session? They go up to the legislature and they put their hands out and they say, we need more, we need more, we need more. I talked about this a couple weeks ago, Toby, when I filled in on the Finnegan show. Mm-hmm. But this idea of the Association of Counties and the Municipal League and all these groups that get all of this taxpayer money, and then they turn around and they go up to the Capitol or they go into your city halls or your quorum courts, and they just use, indirectly, of course, but they use our money and our resources to go lobby for more of our money and our resources. And that will just never sit right with me. Right. It just never has, and I don't think it ever will.
Yeah, I did see that. Now, this is a couple of years ago, kind of approaching the fact that the thing that you talked about, where that the UAMS, they don't give raises to their employees, which is 100% true. The chancellor, Camp Patterson, he did give himself a raise a couple of years ago, like a 40% bump that he got. Yes. But outside of that, it is.
The top brass seems to always do fine with their car allowances and their 6-figure plus salaries. That is for sure. Yeah. But taxpayers get to pay for a lot of that stuff too. And again, I mean, I've been doing this long enough. Opportunity Arkansas has only been around for 3 years, but I've been in this world and working in the conservative cause in Arkansas for pretty much my entire adult life. Mm-hmm. And I've just seen this over and over and over again. I mean, they were one of the leading UAMS and Blue Cross Blue Shield, and frankly, a lot of these hospitals and other, I call them the Medicaid cartel now. That's kind of my new shorthand for them. But they are largely responsible. This is what makes your head want to explode. They're responsible for the mess that we're in, because those are the groups that 10 to 12 years ago started freaking out, crying wolf, saying the world's going to end if we don't expand Medicaid through Obamacare, if we don't add all of these new able-bodied working-age people to our welfare rolls, to a program they were never intended to be a part of. the world's going to end. The world's going to shut down. All the hospitals are going to close. We're going to have to lay people off. Everything's going to be horrible. Well, guess what? We did it. We took the bait. We bit the bullet.
Mm-hmm.
We spend $2 billion. Taxpayers spend over $2 billion a year now on that program. And guess what? They're still running around with their hair on fire, saying we're going to close. We can't keep the doors open. We can't hire people. We can't pay people.
Right.
UAMS at one point closed 600 positions a few years ago. Well, wait a minute. We've done everything y'all have said. We've given y'all every bit of money that you've asked for. We've opted into all of these new welfare programs. And I think that's the other piece of this with their most recent announcement that, look at what we did. This is going to finally solve the problem. No, it's not. And no one believes that it is. We all know that within 6 months, if not sooner, there's going to be another crisis, another maternal health crisis, another whatever crisis they can come up with to get themselves more money.
Yeah.
Because that's all they seem to care about is just sitting around, raking it in, and figuring out how they can get more from taxpayers.
Yeah, no, you got to figure out a new blueprint to operate that entity. Nick, another topic I wanted to hit with you today is how are you feeling about the Franklin County potential prison now that there's a lot of pushback, especially out of Franklin County in particular, and so. Should the state plan for a different location or expand the Calico Rock prison, which Senator Brian King is proposing in a letter that he sent to Governor Huckabee Sanders earlier this week? But what are your thoughts on this issue? I mean, this seems like it's going to be a really tough row to hoe to get this prison built if it's going to go into Franklin County.
Yeah, look, I mean, we've been on the record. We're supportive of building a new prison.
Sure. I think a lot of people
all the evidence Yeah, exactly. I mean, a lot of the evidence I've seen and folks that I've talked to in the department and the reports that I've read, and we've looked at other states to see how do we compare in capacity compared to other states. And I think you talk to anybody at the city or county level that are involved with the county jails, and they'll tell you the overcrowding is really, really serious. It's threatening the safety of our local communities, right? Because this overcrowding problem, and we've written about this at Opportunity Arkansas, the overcrowding problem is what creates the mechanism and the lever that the Board of Corrections can pull to continue to operate and utilize the Emergency Powers Act, which is how they keep this revolving door in our prisons and continue to release these violent criminals into our communities. Now, we cleaned up a lot of that last session in the Protect Arkansas Act, but that is the driving force. And the other piece of this, Toby, that's just so hard to quantify that we'll never really know, but you talk to anybody in law enforcement, and they'll tell you that the number of crimes and arrests that don't happen because there's so much overcrowding and law enforcement on the front line know, well, I could arrest this person, but they're going to just get turned out because we don't have anywhere to put them.
That's right.
That has been a problem for years and years and years.
Yeah.
And so we need a new prison. I'm agnostic as far as where it goes. Obviously,
Sure.
The people of Franklin County have raised some concerns, and they don't want it there. I think, I can kind of make the argument both ways on that. I mean, does anybody want a prison? You've got the whole not in my backyard concept. Like everybody wants a prison, but nobody wants it in their neighborhood. I sort of understand that. On the other hand, it's got to go somewhere, and it is going to bring in, I think, some economic development.
Yes.
A lot of jobs would be created around the prison and the industry around the prison that would be created from that project. So I wish I had a crystal ball and I could tell you what's going to happen. I don't fully know, but I do. What's frustrating, I think I'll say about this is a prison of that size, a project of that size, it's going to take a while to build.
Yep.
And until we start building and breaking the ground and getting something moving here, we're going to continue to have a lot of the problems that we've had with overcrowding and this revolving door problem. So if they can't get it figured out in Franklin County, fine, move on and build it somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
But get going is my take.
Well, and I do want to note that next week, I think it's Tuesday next week, we're going to have Senator Brian King here on the show, and he's he represents the people up there in that area of Franklin County, and so he's who sent the letter to the governor this week, and so we're going to have him on to talk about what some of the issues are with the folks in Franklin County and why they don't want this at this point. Nick, on the way out, anything going on with Opportunity Arkansas this week that we should know about? You guys working on any big projects? I know you're still trying to put a bunch of things together coming out of the last legislative session.
Yeah, boy, there's a lot still coming together. I'll tease and just let people know our legislative scorecard is going to be coming out soon, sometime
Nice.
this month.
Mm-hmm.
We'll be making a little bit more of a public announcement, a little bit of a teaser of when that's actually going to hit the web and hit people's inboxes. But that's going to be coming out. I think that's something that folks will definitely want to see and be paying attention to. And then, of course, non-debatable. We've got a big non-debatable wrap-up that we're working on.
Mm-hmm.
It's taken a while, 1,652 bills that were filed, over 1,000 of them signed into law.
It's almost comical.
It's taken a minute. Yeah, it's taken a minute to digest and process all of those. But we're putting together kind of our big takeaways from the session, and we'll be pushing that out soon. So if folks aren't already on our non-debatable email list, we encourage them to go to non-debatable.com and make sure they're getting the latest and greatest information about how our money is being spent at the state capitol.
Yeah, no, it's very important. So looking forward to seeing that when you guys put that out. Of course, you can see Nic and Opportunity Arkansas's work, as Nic said, at opportunityarkansas.org is the website. Nic, we always appreciate you coming on the show and talking with us each Wednesday, and I hope you have a good rest of the week, and we'll talk to you again next week.
Sounds good. Thanks, brother.